5:15, let's say it's 6 o'clock. We are here live at Lower Cape TV. You can also join us on Zoom. We can be seen on channel 22 in our 4 Nauset towns, and we can be streamed on Lower Cape TV's website. So all kinds of choices to see it. No excuses, right? As required by the open meeting law, we are informing you that the district will be videotaping this public meeting. In addition, if anyone else tends to either video or audio tape this meeting, they are required to inform the chair. So is there anybody out there in attendee land? Only one person? Okay. Oh, I still have my phone. Although I don't know where it is. All right. So call to order, agenda changes. Yes, we do have some agenda changes tonight. And there are 2, I believe. C, the financial quarterly report, and F, the enrollment, we are going to put off until our next meeting, which is only in 2 weeks. So it's November 7th. At that time, we will be able to look at the October dashboard, which is going to be much more informative than the September one. So that's why we're putting it off. And the enrollment, Brooke will be back for that meeting, and we can have our discussion continue the discussion that we had before. So those are the agenda changes. Anything else? Agenda change?
Carrie has her hand up. I believe there's an additional item. The Model UN Global Conference fundraising was added to the packet separately.
That goes in with the consent agenda.
Correct.
Okay, so okay, no citizens speak. So then we have the consent agenda. Approved grants, gifts, and the minutes of October 10th. Does anybody have any questions on any of those?
I have a comment, if you don't mind. I was very impressed with the 2 fundraisers. The greenhouse one, I'm really looking forward to. They've been there before, and we get always been and offer their members. Very, very pleased that that's happening, and I think, kudos to Rand for doing that. And on the other one, the Model UN fundraiser, also kudos for going to such a wonderful local company, Beanstalk Coffee. And I want to know, how can we get some of that coffee? I want to participate in that fundraiser. So if anybody has any ideas about how to get the students to come to contact the school committee people, I would appreciate that.
That's a good question. It's been raised before when we've had things like this and we say we want to participate and we never figure out how to sign up. So need to follow up on that one.
I'll follow up on that. I'll put it in contact Remy.
It's just a matter of getting, you just fill out one of the kids' forms.
Yeah, we can get it.
Order the coffee. And,
Okay. Well,
yeah, it's good. Finding the kid. You gotta get a kid first. You gotta find a kid. If I had known last year, I would have brought Max's in with everybody. Patty would.
And the one on the greenhouse, I have to say, I think that's a really good example of the schools and the communities working together. I mean, they're learning something in the school by raising the plants. They're selling through local outlets and at the farmers market, and they're giving the profits to the local groups of their choice. So I think it's great all the way around. It's a nice circle. Anything else? Okay, so is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. No more discussion. Okay, Tom is remote, so we're going to have to take a roll call vote. Tom, how do you vote?
Yes.
Oh, you are getting hoarse.
I am.
Heather?
Abstain, thank you.
Abstain? Okay. Great.
Yes.
Rick?
Yes?
Josh?
Yes.
I vote yes. Maura?
Yes.
Chris?
I vote yes.
Catherine?
Yeah.
Katie?
Yes.
All right. There we have it. Okay, now we are going to go to the technology presentation from Taylor, who has
There we go.
been here. He's up there. Can you say something, Taylor, so we can make sure we hear you?
Yes. Am I loud and clear?
Yes, you are.
Beautiful.
Okay, so Dr. Taylor Wrye, our head of our Department of Tech.
First and foremost, thank you. I'm very appreciative of all of you and the invitation to come and speak before you. I've been here for a few months now, actually 8 months, 9 months, 10 months actually. But I'm very excited. We've done a lot of great work in Nauset so far, and I'm very excited to be able to be here and share it with you. I apologize I'm not able to be there in person. My kids were very generous in giving their germs to me, so I'm home, so I apologize. Next time I'll be there. Can all of you see the presentation that I have projected? Okay. And I believe it should be in your notes as well, where you can follow along. And I'll be more than happy to share it with you digitally if you want it that way as well. So before I get started, I need to give huge acknowledgement, kudos to my small but mighty department. I have an amazing department that facilitates or oversees 7 buildings, 3,000 devices, 400 students, 2,000 students, 400 staff members, and we're spread across all different campuses, from infrastructure to hardware to software to simple turning on, turning off devices as well. No technology problem is too small for us to look into. So I'm very appreciative of everything that has been done to this point. My transition into this role has been absolutely seamless thanks to this amazing team. Here we have our Bitmojis. If you'd like to have a Bitmoji, we can create one for you as well. Or you can ask your children and they'll be able to, I'm sure, show you. But so when I started in January, like most IT departments, a lot of people perceive it to be just the nuts and bolts, the devices, the hardware, and that's really it. But really what we're doing is so much more. And so we created our mission statement, like, why are we here? What do we do? Why do we do what we do? And so our mission is to increase student learning and achievement by integrating advanced educational technology into every facet of the curriculum. Our motto at the technology department is where EdTech innovation meets educational excellence. We not only provide state-of-the-art tools and resources, and by the way, I'm very excited to show the video of the new high school progress in a little bit, very, very exciting. But we also, that we're placing a strong emphasis on educating students, staff, and I really want to underline this next part, the community. Because we are a school, because we communicate, because we engage in so many different ways, we make the assumption that the community members know how to utilize these platforms or devices. And so in the coming months, you'll see that we're starting to grow that outreach, because community is going to be a major component going forward for our department. In proficient use of effective EdTech tools. Our commitment extends beyond mere access to technology as we strive to create a culture of digital fluency, where innovation empowers teaching and learning processes, fosters creativity, drives academic excellence in an ever-evolving educational landscape. And we can see that firsthand as the new high school is being built and at the middle school as well. So what have we been up to? In a nutshell, a lot. And I'm very excited to be able to share all this with you. And you'll see that we are basing we utilize a Future Ready frameworks, and that it's very student-centered, in which Nauset does exceptionally, and you'll see that what we're doing supports this framework. We're supporting teachers with technology integration. We're modernizing communication. Hopefully you saw the new website. Strengthening digital security, enhancing infrastructure, promoting digital equity for all of our Nauset students. And then finally, this is a personal project of mine, aligning the K-12 digital literacy computer science standards for all the Nauset students. And I've been working closely with Assistant Superintendent Anderson, and we have started the curriculum review process for that. So I'm very, very excited for that. As I go through this, this is one thing I really want to stress, is that we are striving to create an educational technology environment of creators, not just consumers. And when people think of educational technology, they think of too much screen time. And screen time is when people are looking at their screens consuming, like the saying doom scrolling, where you're just constantly scrolling social media. We are looking at educational technology, the 3 E's, that is engaging, enhancing, and it extends the learning. So when we talk about EdTech, we're talking about engaging devices, enhancing the curriculum, and extending a student's learning of the material at hand. We're not talking about consumers. We're talking about an environment of creators. So the first way that we support, that we are starting to support the educational technology integration at Nauset is ensuring the interoperability between EdTech tools and district platforms. As some of you know, you probably have had children in multiple schools throughout the districts, and you've realized that in one school they use one platform, in another school they use another, and then even in another classroom they use something completely different. And it is not only hard for the parents, it's hard for the students, and it can be hard for teachers when we start talking about looking at data. In addition, during the pandemic, we had so many people using online software programs for free, and now they're starting to charge. And we're noticing that in one district they're paying for something, let's call it A, and then another district they're paying for software B, but they do the same thing, but we're paying 2 different district prices for that. So really looking at, and you'll start to see the theme, we're starting to really streamline everything to ensure that it's that one-stop shop mentality. Interoperability means that everything plays nicely together. In addition, to supporting this, we have fantastic technology integration specialists at the secondary level, one at the middle school and one at the high school, who have been absolutely instrumental in supporting our teachers in the classroom by getting into the classrooms and being a resource for them. At the elementary levels, we have EdTech coordinators, which are a stipend position, and they're able to support the classrooms as well. As I said earlier, we have an exceptional IT support team who not only just troubleshoot issues that teachers may have. We have IT support specialists that get in there, offer professional development for teachers, help them with the new smart boards or the new wireless devices that we have in there. We also, this year, in conjunction with Superintendent Anderson, we were providing a district-wide professional development pathway, and I believe she touched on at the last school committee meeting, in which we are providing ways for teachers to learn and grow utilizing educational technology to be able to use it in their classroom. We also have individually paced professional development, such as if somebody wants to learn about something such as how to use Google Classroom, there are individual courses people can take and they can earn certificates that will improve their teaching in their classrooms. And then finally, the last thing is programmatic professional development. We have a lot of fantastic software from Magic School AI. We are a Google Workspace for Education district, as you know, through your Gmail account. Edpuzzle, Nearpod, and Lumio, they're all just fantastic resources that provide professional development for our teachers just because we utilize their product. So on top of all of this, we are providing opportunities for teachers and administrators and staff members to grow and become very familiar with these products. The second portion is modernizing our communication, and I think you're all very aware. Superintendent Clenchey, I believe, right after the ink dried on my contract, she said, "All right, we need a new website." And this has been a very exciting experience because one of the big pictures that I saw was streamlining everything and really the interoperability, making sure that one elementary school is doing the same thing as the middle school, as the high school, so that we are not all over the place trying to find information, or information from 2015 is still on the website that's completely outdated. So we revamped the district website. If you had not yet, there's a QR code right there. You can take your phone, you can scan it, and the brand new Nauset app, which is a fantastic way to get information. And the slogan, and you'll see it in a second, is everything Nauset in your pocket. And when I mean that, it really is everything Nauset in your pocket. So with this, we're able to communicate with the community, not just through the website, not just through an app, not through email or text messages, but also I know a lot of our community members are on Facebook or on Instagram as well. And so what this does is you have one message, and you can send it to all of those places with just just by hitting send. So we are ensuring communication is robust, efficient, and in a way that the community members want to receive that information. In addition, we at the end of last year, we implemented the new parent portal for Aspen, which is our student information system, where students were able to access their schedules during the summer online. Also, parents are able to register their children online through this Aspen portal, which is also located on the Nauset app. So if you open up the app, you'll see in the list of things, you'll see the Aspen is there. I'm also very excited that we actually put on the pay portal, in which people are able to pay fees, permission slips, whatever monies that come in from the districts can be paid all online, cashless, credit cards accepted, debit cards, whatever you need or whatever's easiest for families can be paid online, very seamless. And then finally, you'll know that we utilize S'more, which is a newsletter template, and which is very customizable, accessible, and if you're waiting for your children in line, you can scroll down the phone and it's very easy to see. You're not pinching or trying to zoom in and see pictures. It's very, very user-friendly. So as I said with the app, it's everything Nauset in your pocket. And you'll see if you've downloaded it. And if you haven't downloaded it yet, all you have to do is either in Google Play Store or iTunes, just search Nauset. And we are the only Nauset district in the country. And you'll be able to find our app. And you'll see the news, events, documents, staff, dining, notification. In the very near future, parents will be able to, on this app, be able to communicate with teachers and vice versa, look at grades. Everything will be very readily accessible just from this one app. So another part of the technology department is increasing our Nauset's digital security. We are supporting teachers. We want to ensure that everybody has the latest and greatest in their classroom, and that student engagement is at the forefront. But also, behind the scenes, we are ensuring compliance and safety. We're ensuring that our district data and information is safe. We're adhering to the Massachusetts data privacy laws. We're implementing digital archiving and new enhanced firewalls and two-factor authentication. This is equivalent to the new security cameras, the new badging system, the new security protocols, because student information is the most vulnerable and susceptible to cyber attacks. City government and public schools are the most vulnerable, are the #1 targets for ransomware. And so investing in this is just like investing in the newest security features for buildings, like in the buildings itself. In addition, we have a centralized EdTech hub, ensuring consistency across K-12. We have software that is available, and we have a process that is being implemented that if teachers want something new to use, they can put in a ticket where we'll ensure that one, it's following the data privacy laws. It follows the approved curriculum that the school committee approves, and then also to ensure that we have funds for it. And so this will allow the whole district to see what we're using and what we're not using. And if you go to the actual website, and you'll see on the technology page, you'll see all the software that we utilize currently in our district. And then also infrastructure as a foundation for innovation. A secure and updated digital infrastructure with firewalls, Wi-Fi, and devices. It allows teachers to teach and students to learn without disruption. When the power goes out, it's tough. Teachers have to change on a dime. But if we have those backups ready to go, then we can ensure bell-to-bell teaching and learning happening in the classroom. So as you're probably sitting there thinking, this is all great, but it sounds expensive. I have to say, yes, but we can plan accordingly because, as I believe one of the school committee members so audibly put it in the new video, our children are an investment, and ensuring their security and ensuring that teaching and learning is happening. We have the evergreen cycle, and this was a cycle that was created, I believe, a few years ago with my predecessor. So it ensures that we have a cycle that, because nowadays devices aren't lasting 10 plus years. Devices are lasting 4 to 6 years because of wear and tear, because of software upgrades, because of accessibility features. The rate at which technology is improving is doubling at, I believe it's 1.5 years now. I mean, just think, a few years back, the latest and greatest exciting technology was going to the computer lab, and that was 25 desktop computers tied into the network. Now we have every student that has a Chromebook. We have every student that probably has their own device or any other devices within the classroom, smartboards, teachers. We have so many devices that we've had to expand our network. And then on top of it, we're looking at scalability and adaptability. We're starting to look at virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, which then takes up so much more. And even though that sounds a little futuristic and science fiction, the reality is it's here. Last week, Assistant Superintendent Anderson, Principal Clark, and I had the opportunity to attend MassQ, in which they had 4D, almost like smartboards, in which it looked like an actual human was standing there. It blew my mind, and it was really exciting. I have pictures, and I can show everybody later, but we need to be aware that this is coming sooner than later, and we have an amazing high school that has all the latest and greatest, but we do have to prepare for the next 3, 5, 10 years. And then this is one thing I'm really, really excited about, is that ensuring digital equity and in Nauset. So digital equity is it's coming to the forefront, especially with the 4 communities that we serve. And we are looking at, it's going beyond just simply providing the latest and greatest devices. It's creating an inclusive environment where all students, regardless of their backgrounds, have access to the resources. So we're talking about experiences. So when students go from elementary to middle to high school, what are the skills that they have to ensure, such as, do they know how to create a presentation on a slide deck? Do they know how to edit a movie or a clip for a presentation? These are all modern skills that students need to have, but sometimes teachers are finding that kids are in different places. And so and it goes back to the DLCS curriculum alignment, where we're kind of looking at where are we and what do we need to do? And so this year, at the end of last year was phase 1, in which we worked with MassQ, which is the premier organization for computer user educators in Massachusetts. And we basically came together to say, what does digital equity mean to Nauset? And we created a shared vision of digital equity ensures that all community members have equal access to technology resources and learning opportunities while adopting these resources to meet the diverse needs of all demographic and socioeconomic groups. So in order to support that statement, we actually are right now in phase 2, and we talked about the professional pathways and the different professional development opportunities with Assistant Superintendent Anderson. And we are working with MassQ, and then I'm very excited to say we're actually working with the Cape Cod Commission, specifically in Orleans and in Brewster, to support the towns and the communities to be able to have the digital equity. And we take for granted that people, when I say online payment, it's quick and easy. I'm making the assumption that everybody knows how to log on to online payment, how people have access to the internet to make this payment. And especially on Cape Cod, when internet connection can be spotty, cell phone connections aren't always the strongest, depending on what service you have. So working with the communities, the towns, we're able to provide these supports for not only the teachers, but the community members as well. And then in phase 3, we're going to be conducting walkthroughs, look-throughs. What does it look like to be engaged with educational technology? We're not talking about just ensuring that somebody has a laptop on their desk. We want to make sure it's ed tech that is inclusive, easily accessible, and represents the students that they see themselves within using this technology. And the last thing is just, as I said, this is a personal passion project of mine. We actually were one of 2 districts in the Commonwealth selected to participate in Implement MA, which is a Department of Ed's fantastic resource and support to help us identify curriculum that we would utilize to implement K-12 digital literacy and computer science. We have a fantastic base, and at the high school and at middle school, they do such a fantastic job. And so now we are just looking at the comprehensive overview. What are the standards that we need to meet, or what are the standards we are meeting, and where can we go from there? So, and on top of that, we're meeting with DESE's Department of Digital Literacy and Computer Science, and they're supporting us and another district as well. So it's very, very exciting. All right, so I just gave you a lot of information. We're doing a lot of great things. So what does it mean? Where are we going from here? And so one of the things I'm really excited about, and I kind of touched on with the digital equity component, is we're going to be looking at and creating a technology department strategic plan. I know the district's strategic plan is up at the end of the year, and I'm sure either Superintendent Clenchey or the new superintendent will be bringing together a group to start looking at the strategic plan. And my hope is that the educational technology will be an integral part of that process as well. As always, we're going to be continuing to ensure effective and meaningful ed tech in our schools. And as I said before, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and augmented reality, even though they sound very far-fetched, they are here, and we're going to be able to support it within our schools. Reinforcing interoperability, and then also one of the things, as I said, and hopefully you know that I'm excited about, is the community ed tech learning experiences, helping parents access the applications that we utilize as a district, so that it takes away any hurdles for them to be able to communicate with the school and their children's progress. So I just gave you my whole spiel, and I give you a lot of information, and I'm appreciative of you allowing me to speak here with everybody. Just, if anyone has any questions, I don't want to jump ahead of the chair. Still on mute. Might have to hold it up on an old-fashioned piece of paper, your questions. Oh, there we go.
I love that this is happening during the
Kind of, yes. I'm hearing it through Chris's computer right now.
I was worried that would just do that. Yes.
Nothing like a technology snafu when the tech director is presenting.
Hey!
There we go.
Can you hear it?
Literally, we're the fourth person who did that.
I know.
But you did it well.
Exactly.
Arlen works her magic.
Seriously, yes. All right, so yeah, if anybody has any questions.
Oh, okay, now Katie.
So my question is around the curriculum.
Yeah.
Is there anything about internet safety as part of the curriculum?
So I would let Assistant Superintendent Anderson speak specifics, but the DLCS standards do incorporate digital citizenship. Basically, what is like the protocols and procedures to be a responsible online person. It's very, very robust. It's on the DESE website, and I believe it might be on ours, but if it isn't, it will be.
Yep. Yeah, happy to add on, Taylor. So with any public health topic, we have learned that students need the information about 3 to 4 years before they actually are going to use it, which means that we do like smoking cessation in elementary school before they're ever, sort of offered anything. So in this case, we do the same thing, which is through our library and digital literacy curriculum. So that comes through in grades 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
And then again, revisited in middle school and then in high school, but the major blocks are in elementary school.
Okay.
May I just build onto that? In addition to that, are they taught how to be internet smart, about how to stay away from certain things, how to watch out for trouble out there on the internet, how to do good research and what's not so legitimate, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so as part of that, there's the sort of safety aspect, which is what I think you were talking about, how to react if someone reaches out to you inappropriately or something like that, which is definitely done. What you're talking about is more in the area of research, which is also done, but which more later as research becomes apparent in the curriculum. So for example, we're looking at the sites that kids are using and teaching them. You want to look for sites that end in .org or .com or something like that. You want to get the same information from credible sites, how you make sure that a site is fact-checked, for example. So all of those things are taught as part of the research standards. Yeah.
Chris?
I'm sorry, on top of that, my understanding at least is that kids are getting majority of their information, news, off the phone, off their TikTok and whatever. So how do we address that, or is that part of this education?
We don't really, social media we talk about in terms of our social emotional curriculum and how you might deal with a bully or something like that. But this is where in general, the home-school partnership is essential because they're spending a lot of time outside of school. We have them about 6 hours a day. So those suggestions that students don't go get social media accounts until they're 13, but recently I read in high school, that seems like good advice. So we teach kids that, but it's really more on families to enforce all of that.
So since we're helping introduce with the technology or being innovators or whatever, I think it's kind of critical that we take on that role as well. You look at just the day and age we live in now, and the misinformation that's going around, it's a little crazy. And so we have an opportunity. It's not direct one way or the other, but just to make sure that they comprehend sources for facts and not fiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how to determine that. And if we're hearing that a majority of kids are getting their news from websites, from social media, then we can't avoid, addressing it. Meaning it's kind of critical. And I'm sorry. I realize it's it's just something everyone's facing, but I mean it's scary. I mean, to be quite honest, we're getting to a day and age where facts don't matter anymore. It's just what you heard more often. And that's just. I
do know that the library media specialists and some of the computer teachers at the secondary level talk about, and as Assistant Superintendent Anderson touched on, looking at, like, is it a reliable source? Like, is it coming from a website that is a reliable source, or is it coming from a website that doesn't really have a lot of history on it, or there's specific things that you can look for within a news source, an article. And so we're starting to teach our students those skills to be able to find it. And so that's, again, it's ever evolving. And as you touched on, within 4 years, it went from the New York Times, Boston Globe, or any of those newspapers as being the premier source of information to social media. And so how do we support our children to be able to be good digital citizens and being able to identify sources that are reliable, not just it came about yesterday, there's no history, never heard of this before. How can we have to read it with a little bit of skepticism.
Thank you.
Carrie?
Thank you. And Taylor, thank you so much for your presentation. It was very in-depth, and we have I think I'm walking away with a really good picture of the amount of work that you've done in 10 months. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. No, it's been amazing.
Yeah. And really, with the continuing the Evergreen Plan for budget savings, I think that's to be commended, and also all of the trainings and the work that you're doing in the classrooms with the kids from pre-K probably all the way up through. I did have a question. You mentioned communication quite a bit, and you mentioned not only communication with kids and in the classroom, but also by community communication. You talked a little bit about revamping the district website, and congratulations on that. I've used it a lot. Also have the Nauset app, which I use as well. I had a question though about that and community members, outreach to community members. You mentioned that. And I think just there's a couple of ways we define community. One is the school community, which is parents, students, teachers, staff. That's a closed community, is what I look at. And then there's the communities at large, the 4 towns, potentially 6 towns, if you think about Truro and P-Town, to get the information out to the community so they understand all the good things that are going on in the schools. So you mentioned Facebook, and I actually am one of the followers of the high school and the middle school. But when you look at it, there's 59 followers for the high school and 95 followers on the Facebook pages for those schools. So I was wondering about that. And also, do you know the number of users for the Nauset app? And then I have a follow-up.
Yes, the Nauset app, actually, I just met with the company, and we are close to 900 people have downloaded the app. And it is nice because the public-facing view of the app, which you're seeing right now, is family members can download it, anybody, caretakers can download it, looking at the calendar and things like that. As for the social media component, we just organized and streamlined it. There was some wild rogue pages out there. There was one, a Nauset Public School Facebook page from 2012. And so trying to bring everything together, we basically hit a hard reset at the beginning of this year. And so on the communications, I know at the middle school, just because I saw Principal Cohen's newsletter, it says follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and the link's right there. It's on the website as well. And again, it's like me being here talking to all of you and telling you this is what we're doing. And so the more chatter there is, the better.
That's great. And so thinking about ways to kind of get beyond that closed community wall to the community at large, it would be interesting to start thinking about how to break through so that the seniors in all 6 communities, 4 to 6 communities, know what's going on. Just regular folks who don't have kids in the schools and are not necessarily actively involved. So just thinking about how to reach them. So that would be a question to maybe think about over the next month or so.
And I would and I've asked all the other school committees as if they have any suggestions, as you know the towns, you know the people more intimately than I do. I would be open to any and all suggestions. Is it me going to the Dunkin' Donuts and setting up a little workshop? Or is it, I mean, free coffee, who doesn't? But also I'm excited to say that working with this Superintendent Clenchy and the video that we're going to show you and all the amazing things that are happening at the high school, this is just one more layer of that community outreach that we really are trying to strive for.
Might have some ideas that can come forward at some point. The last piece that kind of goes back that I wanted to mention that goes back to safety and policy is you mentioned AI, the growth of AI, and there's been some news things in the paper about AI and kids kind of getting into trouble for using AI in their research. What do you suggest in terms of all of the school district in terms of having some kind of solid AI policy?
So formally, I do know that Assistant Superintendent Anderson and I were just chatting with our library media specialist. The conversations are happening. AI, whether we like it or not, is a reality. It's gonna be in everyone's lives, and our teachers right now have access to what we call Magic School AI, and it is a artificial intelligence, large LLM. And it is in compliance with Massachusetts privacy laws, whereas ChatGPT is not. So you probably, if you've heard different things in the news about stealing or using information, personal information, Magic School AI does not. It actually, every question inquiry is compartmentalized and then removed, deleted. So there is no search history. So teachers can't go back and build off of questions, but again, it goes back to that security to ensure that it's compliant. So AI is a big conversation. It's coming, and I'll be working closely with Assistant Superintendent Anderson in regards to that.
Thank you so much, Taylor.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Heather?
Hi, Dr. Wrye. Thank you so much for presenting. I was just curious because some of us have definitely not seen it. Do you think that you could share with us your technology replacement cycle, or we call it evergreen year? We're just curious if we could see something like that. That would be incredible because we do need to think about technology as a serious investment moving forward. And do you have a listing as well, or maybe an audit of your software and licensure that you're targeting for annual renewals and annual upgrades and annual, whatnot, and trying to, scale back I've got this in this classroom and I've got this in this classroom? That would be awesome too.
Yeah,
I think she just described our life for the last 2 weeks. Taylor and I have been going around to all of the schools and going through their entire budget and each line item with software and making sure we are not paying for 2 different pieces of software that essentially do the same thing, and that kind of thing. Yeah. Yes. So yes, you just saw right into our lives. Yeah.
Okay, great. Anything else? Well, first of all, thank you very much for coming and giving that presentation. Speaking as somebody who's been on the school committee for a while, there are people here who've been here longer. At least one person.
Old man, come on now.
This is the first time that I really feel that our technology department is a full department.
Sure.
That it's comprehensive, that you have plans, that it's robust, and it's not just putting on some Band-Aids here or Band-Aids there. It's really nice to see. and
Thank
very,
you.
very needed. And thank you for that. And you mentioned the video, this video that Taylor helped
Organized.
direct. I don't know, were you the director or the producer or all of the above?
Stick figures are the extent of my artistic ability. I can organize, but yeah, artistic is not my wheelhouse.
Okay, so we did engage a videographer to come in and make a short video of the new high school. And so we are going to be able to see it tonight. Here we go.
If you can't hear, just let me know. Can you hear it?
Hear any?
No.
It's
No.
not running smoothly.
Significant lag over here.
Oh no. Well, that's disappointing. Application window. Let's see if we do this.
Is somebody speaking? Oh yeah, we don't hear anything.
Oh, I am so sorry about that. Of course, more technology snafus. I'm trying to think, how can we present it?
You want to see if it's online? If you run it, I can play it off of my computer if it's going out.
It is.
We can mute.
I think it's YouTube, isn't it?
Is it YouTube?
Let's see.
I don't remember now.
Ooh.
Is it, Taylor, is it out on YouTube?
It is right. Can you still? No, you can't see my screen. Here's the web address that you can go to. Can you see it up in the corner?
Nope.
No.
No.
There should be
Wow.
a order.
I had it like all prepared, ready to go. All I needed to push was play. I apologize. It is a fantastic video, and I will share it, email it to Arlen to make sure that all of you have it.
Taylor, is there an option to stream it at a lower quality to just, I don't know if there's,
It's
just drop it
240.
down and.
Let's see.
It's a little better.
Better?
It's going faster. We don't have sound yet.
Suppose that I just got the link from Arlen.
I'm sorry?
And also that on Zoom, you've got to, sometimes when you're sharing your screen, you also have to click a extra box to share the audio with your screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't always automatically share audio.
You're a good tech person.
That's what I teach.
He's here for a reason.
Unfortunately, way too much Zoom in my life still.
Let's see.
Oh, here it is.
All right. Same system.
I don't know if it's hosting. I don't know.
Maybe I can do it.
It's Chris, the co-host.
Just you have to give them.
Taylor, Chris thinks he can do it.
All right.
1 second.
How many degrees does it take to play a video on Zoom between all of us?
Stop sharing his screen now.
Greg's here. He's offered to reenact the entire thing.
I was just saying, there's some fantastic interviews in here, so.
And then there we go.
Never tried to do it.
Okay, we've got a blank screen.
All right.
It's probably the same thing.
I can see it. You're on mute again.
Sorry.
There you go.
Oh, I was just saying thank you again. This has been great. And so how are we distributing this video, or how is it going to be seen?
So that is, I'm going to be talking closely with Superintendent Clenchey, and she's going to tell me what to do.
That's a very diplomatic response, and I appreciate it. I'm going to remember it. Okay. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you get better. And next time you can come in.
I'm looking forward. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So now we're going down to building committee update. Sorry, I went to video and then I was going down, but we forgot.
Okay.
Our friend is here.
Good evening. It's good to see you all in person again.
Yeah.
This is great. Nice new studio. Hope this works out.
Yeah.
So let's start with the good news that the emails you've been seeing for the past month or so is that October 27th was a hard date for transitioning from a temporary certificate of occupancy to a permanent. We were surprised yesterday afternoon when the building commissioner, Mr. Justin Post, down in Eastham, took it upon himself to grant us a complete extension of a TCO from October 27th to December 31st.
Oh, wow.
So it's important in the sense that the fly in the ointment, if you will, was that Building F has a component of the guidance and administration area, and the majority of the building is the auditorium. The auditorium is always designed in construction to be at least 2 months behind because of all the things that go into an auditorium, the specialties with regards to sound, stage work, that type of thing. And they're not even close. The HVAC system is still not up and running, still hasn't been balanced. So I've seen these emails back and forth, and he has been at the last 2 on-site meetings the past couple weeks. So he's given us this reprieve that instead of just creating a nightmare, basically by having a permanent CO and a TCO, we're just going to do the whole thing all in one fell swoop. So it gives everybody a chance to go through all the things on the punch list, and there are a bunch of punch lists, as you can see from the emails back and forth. But there's only one that I follow, and that is we have a controlled construction project under Massachusetts law, and that controlling entity is the architect and the design team. So he's got 20 sets of engineers. They all have something that they're supposed to oversee and double check, make sure it's been done properly. And that what's generated the original, I showed you a 1,200 list of things on the punch list. It's down to the hundreds now, but that's okay. As the building gets used, and it's great to see students and staff enjoying, as the building gets used, it's the test drive. So it may work when they turn on the lights and the contractor moves off to the next space, but when the people come and actually use it, using has glitches. How to turn on the lights, how to turn off the lights, making sure the darkroom lights don't come on when you're working in film, little things that are subtle that really need to make sure they're Mr. Harris mentioned today's meeting, he has not been scheduled his sound system, his lighting system, and none of us know how to turn on the lights when we walk into the auditorium. So those are the types of things we need somebody to show us all that stuff. So those are the types of details that this extra time is going to help us get through very well. So again, the punch list is ongoing by discipline. TCO has been expended yesterday and Tuesday. There was a professional photography company came down with Flansburgh and their team and did a photo shoot of the campus so that they're going to use our project as one of their selling points. So the district will be getting some of that photography. The Flansburgh, the general contractor, and our project manager, they'll be part of that. So anxious to see those things that were set up yesterday. I guess it's really interesting that that the photographer comes along. It's all digital photography and kind of delves into it. Mr. Tyler says that they take a bunch of pictures and they actually mail them on site before they leave. If they don't have quite the right mix of pictures, they'll take some more so that they can overlay them electronically. So it makes really they want to get the best shot out of the amalgamation of pictures that they took. It's kind of neat. So we're anxious to see the results of that. We'll get that in a couple weeks.
Can they make the grass look green?
Make the grass look with no weeds in it would be great. We're not sure what kind of seed they put down, but that's another ongoing issue. So right now, phase 2, which is buildings A, B, C, and D, is well underway. It kind of looks like Beirut. There are no walls. There's just concrete structure, which is what it was designed to do to begin with. Keep reminding people that the original campus buildings had no insulation. They were energy hogs. So we've blown out the walls. They've actually started to spray the interior insulation because we had great weather. The warmer the weather, the better the insulation sticks to the concrete and works. So they've started that process. They're looking at maybe doing a Saturday so that they can get the insulation installed without having to worry about other workmen in the area. So they're not hell-bent, but they're working in a good fashion to get to the next phase. Some of the plumbing for the fire sprinkler system is being installed. Some of the ductwork is being installed. Conduits for electricity, that type of thing, all be going in place. So we're working towards getting as much closed in before the lousy weather shows up and going from there. So it's just been a love affair, if you will, getting the project done. People are still very excited about what's going on campus. There's no sense of people not wanting to encourage us to keep going and giving us little things, targets we have to make sure to get squared away as far as individual spaces. And I remind folks that we are on a third of the building committee is new to the project, not from the original group. Staff is new. We are on our third IT director in the project. I had a little joke with Superintendent Clancy that we'll be on our third superintendent. We're on our third high school principal. So we've had a lot of folks switch over on the project manager side. I have called today, one of the original project managers has moved on. So it's kind of like the last man standing, who's left to make sure this thing gets shown through the gate. But it's an interesting process, and the staff is learning quite a bit, which is great. You learn how to navigate a public construction project and understand the dynamics of it's a lot of money, but you have to explain to folks that when the contractor gets the contract, the winning bidder, he realizes he's the lowest bidder. So somebody bid more. So there's this mental exercise of how can I get to where the other guy was through the process of change orders and finding fault with plans and things like that. But that is the process we go through on every project, no matter how big, how small. And that's what we're navigating. We're working through all that. We have a good team put together. We're watching the budget like hawks, obviously. And we think we're in a good place to make sure that we finish this time next year. The ribbon will be cut and stuff will be finished. So,
This time next year? This is the end of October. We're going to finish it before then, right?
well, we have a ribbon cutting, but after ribbon's cutting, they still have things that are need to be finished.
So the building ideally should be done
in December of next year. It'll be the final. Yeah.
Right. But the students will be in it.
Oh, the students will be in, absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll be in September next year. The whole campus will be open. It'll be great.
That's all most people care about. That's all I care about.
So yeah.
Leave the details to the rest of you.
Thank you. That's what we do. We're the detail folks. I appreciate it very much.
Okay. All right, that's great. Any questions for Greg?
I do. I have a quick one. Greg, you can't go anywhere because you're like this, you talked about all the changes.
Oh, yeah.
You're it, so you can't go. So you're stuck. Thank you for the update. You mentioned the temporary certificate of occupancy being extended.
Yes.
What does that mean for the use of the auditorium?
Well, the auditorium wasn't going to be used until November anyway.
Okay.
So what happens now is that, as I said, so the fire alarm system is still inoperative because all the devices aren't in. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing is that there are 3 huge air handlers that create the heat and air conditioning for that space. So 2 of them are online. The third one has an issue with it being underpowered. So they're looking at how to add a circuit to make sure the fans run at the proper speed. So once that is powered properly, then they can come in and what's called balance the system. They have to do hot water, cold water balancing, airflow balancing, which takes some time because if you remember walking around the campus, each room has a couple of diffusers in the ceiling, that type of stuff. Those all have to be gauged against what the specifications call for air changes. And this whole system is geared to 13 changes of air per hour per space. So that's a lot of air moving around, and air that has to be heated and cooled, that type of thing. So that is very time consuming. They get most of the campus right now, and we're in transition from cooling, like we were in August, to heating, but now it's going back to cooling because we had some warm days. So yeah, so it's a work in progress, but yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing. So the auditorium is interesting in that there is proposed a couple of debuts of the space for different things, and as with the convocation, it basically well, the bad guy has to say, I wish you wouldn't plan it for this right now. So there is a play scheduled for the 1st of November, and I suggested that they find alternate space because we don't know.
The 1st of November or December?
The 1st of November, there's a in-house play that wants to be used in the auditorium. And like I said, nobody knows how to run the lights, sound system, or anything. So it's the rigging. I mean, I showed you the rigging. I mean, there must be 500 miles of wires and pulleys and motors in there. So it's really very complex. So you want to make sure that everything's running properly before you have a show there. And Mr. Ferris is looking at his first concert, and we're hoping that works out, but we have to get training for what's called, from the company called Barbizon that did all the electrical lighting and sound systems, speakers, microphones, things like that. And they're saying, oh, we'll be in on the 25th of November to do the training. I'm going, that's Thanksgiving week. That's never going to happen. And they want to have the first show is the December 19th. So again, we don't want to burst people's bubble, but you gotta make sure that the first go around is up to snuff. And Tom Ferris is right on AC. He gets it. We're not trying to be mean to put things off, but you want to have that first event go without a hitch. And make sure we have to test drive it a couple of times. And that's where we're at right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very smart.
You don't want to break anything.
It's not sure we're breaking anything. Well, perfect example tonight. No. Technology.
Technology.
Yeah, and it's just all technology. It's all remote control. You saw the lights in the rooms. It's all remote control. All sensors. The lights dim automatically after so many seconds. Nobody moving. Then they turn off. Somebody moves, and lights come back on. It's very complicated. And then, of course, what's happening for Bob Caperso and his staff is that it's being tied into what's called the BMS, Building Management System, which is a computer program and a setup that monitors every sensor and every room on campus and tells them what's going on. So the whole idea is that they don't have to run to the room to fix something. They can do it remotely if the system is up and running properly and the data is entered properly and everything lines up to the right room for the right sensor. So it's complicated. So, but it's what we have from modern systems.
Convinced us.
We're working on it.
Okay, anything else for Greg? Well, thanks.
Good
Good
Thank you
news.
very, very, very much.
I'm not going to say first year meeting.
Oh, come on! It's just the good stuff starting now. Oh, I mean,
I get that. Been there, done that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
all right, thank you very, very much.
Have a great evening.
All right, so we're going to move along to D, the FY26 budget timeline. Giovanna, do you want to walk us through this?
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. So you have in front of you, you have the calendar for the 25-26 budget season, and everything begins with the enrollment projections of October 1st, which we'll go over at the next meeting. The town budget guidance, we await the guidance from our member towns that should be coming in, and we'll incorporate that into our budget development process. The budget input forms have been provided to the principals. They were provided September 30th. They would do October 1st. They got them a little bit ahead of time. The budget and complete backup material is due back to central office on the 8th of November. After that, when we receive all the backup material and the budget documents, we sit with each of the principals along with the administrators, technologies at the table, the assistant superintendent, human resources, student services director. We all sit at the table to review the items that are in each of the budgets with respect to those cost centers. The central office budget subcommittee, we have 2 meetings. There'll be a third if we need to. We have 2 meetings in November and December to vet the central office budget and then make recommendation for the joint committee in January for approval. The final budget documents will go back and forth between the administrators and central office a couple of times before we have a final version 1 to bring forth to the school committee, and we're looking to bring the budgets to the back to central office in December so that we can provide each of the school committees the budget documents at their December meetings. This schedule is a little bit more aggressive than prior years because you will have them in December as opposed to January. So you have a month to review the documents in detail before we dive in January. We have various meetings scheduled with the budget process, December, January, February. The public hearings will be had during the month of March at each of the school committees. We'll vote to approve or certify the budgets either in the February meeting or the March meeting. And then we'll have the January joint school committee meeting to approve the central office budget. We don't have meetings with our Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee members at this time. We'll put those dates as they become available. We don't have the dates for when the town warrant closes. We do have some of the dates. We have 3 out of the 4 towns scheduled for town meetings, as well as the schedules for the town elections. And we'll update this as we move through the process. Any questions on the budget calendar?
Carrie?
I do have some information. As I reviewed this, I did call the town of Brewster for you and found out that the town meeting is going to be May 5th, 2025. And again, that's all that is under the approval of the select board eventually. That'll get to that, the month or 2 before. And then town elections is May 20th, 2025.
Okay, thank you.
Same as
Yeah.
big night in Nauset.
Elections, yeah.
Woo. All right. Anything else? I have a couple of things. I have a real issue with the central office budget being reviewed and approved by the joint committee before we even see our region-only budget. I had this same concern last year and the year before. There are things in the region-only budget that I think it's hard to approve what happened before is we approve the central office budget, then we see the region-only budget, and something should have been in the central office budget, but we can't move it over there because the central office budget has already been approved. So I see no need to review or to approve the central office budget in January when we are still in the thick of our work here. So I have a real problem with that issue, and I don't see any reason that we can't have a joint committee meeting in March when everybody else has seen their budgets, or even late February. So that's one of my other issues. One issue, big issue. The other is we have the meetings in here when you meet with the central office budget subcommittee, but not with the region's budget and finance subcommittee. Also, those should be in there so that we make sure that there's time for that subcommittee to review it before it comes to the full committee. So I would ask that you work with Tom and make sure that we've got all those dates, because we're talking, you know, because we have holidays and it gets
The schedule's getting booked up.
It's booked up very, very quickly.
You don't have to tell Giovanna, she knows.
So those would be the two things. I mean, scheduling the budget and finance subcommittee should be easy, but I really feel strongly on this the central office thing. I do not think we should be put in the position of approving that budget until we see a region-only budget.
Good point. Judy, would that include the shared budget as well?
That is the
there's-
shared budget is the central office budget. Yes, yes. So I think you need to look at that, talk to Brooke, and see how you can change this calendar or change that part of the calendar. Anybody else? Otherwise, looks good. Have we ever approved a budget in February?
No,
Not even in the early days?
not even in the early days.
Really approval? We were just kind of rubber stamping it as it drove by?
Also, what's not in here, we were having, Brooke was talking about we were having a presentation of the preliminary budget. Where?
If there's no date, but I wonder if that's what that is.
No, that's not. That was going to be the end of January, correct?
January 31st.
I thought it
that
was.
is, though, isn't it? The meeting with the Board of Selectmen and Finance
That's
Committee?
what I thought too.
Yeah.
No, I think that's when we go and this is the preliminary budget. The meetings with the Board of Selectmen is the final budget. It's after approval. This was going to be the preliminary budget in January. We were having one meeting with all 4 towns at once. So I think that was January 30th, 31st, January 31st.
We're supposed to try to give them up to 30 days or something along those lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that would have to be added to this calendar. Okay. All right. So maybe we could review the revised calendar next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Finance audit recommendation. This is just kind of a very preliminary FYI. We were hoping to have our auditor here to make her presentation today, but apparently this is busy season for auditors making presentations to school committees, so she couldn't be with us. She did come to the Budget and Finance Subcommittee meeting on Monday, and made a presentation. And I have to say, she was excellent. It was nice to see an auditor. So she must really enthusiastic. She thinks she really likes her job, and
and personable, which you often don't get those combinations.
And it was one of the most informative presentations that I've heard. It was very good. So she is going to be coming to our December 19th meeting. That's the first time that we could get her in there. And the audit reports are available. You can pick them up. Giovanni, you have copies for all the school committee, right?
I have copies and I can also send it out electronically, so whatever your preference.
How many pages is it?
It's 4 booklets. I mean, spiral
It's not
kind
a
of.
ton of pages, though. They're thin.
No, it's not.
No, it's not a lot of
Yeah.
pages. It's just when they bind them up because they're 4 different reports.
It's a nice professional presentation.
Could we, by any chance, either post them on the website and then could we have the last 5 years so that we can read, the progress?
We'll look into it, yeah.
That would
I
be super
don't know where they all are, but yeah. But so you can pick up hard copies in the office or let Giovanna know if you want them electronically. But they're available. Yes, 5 years, right?
That would be awesome, so we could see the trend and the growth, the answers to the management comments, if there
Yep.
were any, all
Yep.
of that.
Yep. Okay. So following on that, that discussion, the Budget and Finance Subcommittee had a brief discussion on, and this is very preliminary. We've just started, but this is just to put it on your plate. We are looking into the audits that we have are the ones that are required that we have, and we're looking into having a bit of a deeper dive look into our business operations, our internal controls, for a couple of reasons. Well, there are probably many reasons, but number one, we're getting new software in. And so we want to make sure that the software is set up the way we want it to set up. But I think mostly we all know that we have a very complex budget, number one. We have things in our budget that, on top of having a complex budget, Nauset Public Schools is a complex configuration when we have our 5 school districts. So there's a lot of duplication of effort with the elementary schools and the towns and going back and forth, and to see if we can't get some efficiency and get things working better there. We know that we've got things in our region-only budget, expenses that are charged to the region or that the region pays that are probably more appropriately attributable to the elementary schools. We know we're the fiduciary agents for the pre-K program, of which we have absolutely no oversight for at all. Also adult education, community ed. So there are all these things that make it just very complicated, and we would like to get somebody in to come in and look at the efficiency and effectiveness to make sure that we have procedures and the systems in place and we also know we have a very overworked and understaffed finance department. So all of those things come to place. We need somebody to come in and help us identify some better things. So you will be hearing more about that, but we're just getting started. So that's that. Any questions on that?
It's a great idea. Thank you so much for whoever's taking the leadership on that. But it's a great timing, and with a new superintendent coming in, I think that person would greatly appreciate it. Oftentimes, when there's new superintendents, they like their own audit to be done. This will be something that I think the new person will greatly appreciate. So thank you.
I think it was a collective great idea.
Good.
This is something that we've been talking about with the superintendent. I think we've known. Again, it's with her push to get systems and procedures in place. This is This is kind of the last,
Another step in the process.
another step in the process,
And it's
exactly.
not saying that people are not doing a great job.
No, no,
It's
no, no,
all
no.
just above and beyond because it's such a complicated
Yeah.
system. Thank you.
And we burn people out.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all right, so that is that. So then we're going to G, our regional agreement update. Senor Beasley.
Yeah. So the letter was sent out to the towns. You'd all received a copy of it. And there was a response shortly afterwards. Let me get it here just so I don't speak wrongly about I'm playing the video again. Where are we? There we are, I think. No, that's not it. There it is. So we received a letter from Peter Lombardi from Brewster, but it was representing the two other towns, so Orleans and Eastham. And there was a request, several requests. One was we had first talked about having two representatives from each of the towns as part of this subcommittee discussion of what the future of the regional agreement. They requested having three. In terms of timeline had been sent out by Maura, that we'd all agreed to, and they requested that they felt like they were going to need more time to do what they wanted to do, and they requested to have 3 months time frame. And so those were the two requests. That was something that the subcommittee really couldn't do or give authority to, so it's really this body that would do it. So that's why it's before us. And so the two changes that they have requested for it would be a 3-month extension as far as timeframes and having 3 representatives on that committee once it did meet at the end. So on that subcommittee. Sorry.
Add something, Chris? I think an important part of that letter too is the time frame. I think when we talked about this at a meeting a couple months ago, we very much said that this was a working document for exactly these kinds of reasons, right? They felt like they needed more than a month to respond to it. I think we feel that seems adequate, and there's no real hard end date. We're not going up, we're not pushing it into town meeting like maybe there's initial thought. So I think Peter even mentioned that in his letter. So there's
It's very
flexibility
reasonable
with
to want to do it
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So we've done this once in 20 some odd years.
Exactly.
In doing it, we should take our time and do it right. And the more effectively we do it now, the better shape we'll be in for the 5-year review and whatever. So we take the time, do it thoroughly now. In 5 years, when we do another review of it, we should be in much better shape. So, Rick.
Is 16 people kind of a large meeting to be doing this?
We had that discussion. It was part of the reason why we wanted only 2 per. But I mean, if this is something that they want, 12 to 16, whatever. I don't know that it makes that big of a difference. Plus, in turn, when you get in 3 from each town, they may all be there for the first meeting, but if they're meetings after that, will they continue? So this way, at least they've got some backup. I think we talked at one point when we talked in the subcommittee, I believe, about having an alternate, just alternate set aside, whatever. So this way, you kind of get, they're at least certain that they're going to have coverage. So I don't think it's an unreasonable request. So
It's a lot of people.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people.
Anytime you do whatever we do and have to multiply it by 4, it gets to be a lot.
Yeah.
It's the nature of the district.
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
The lawyers are going to be involved with it, so I mean, it isn't. There's not a whole lot. It will move. Orderly. It'll be fine.
So just to be clear, we had asked for their input by October 31st. When they said 3 months, are they asking it for?
There wasn't a date, so it was a 3. They're going to need 3 months. 3 members from each town. Again.
I read it as 1 versus 3, so it would be 2 more months. But
So 2 more months by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can certainly confirm that. But.
So, yeah, I mean, so maybe we could say by the end of December 2020. 24. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to put a hard date in there? I think for
I think
clarification.
we only need a date just so we keep the process moving
Yeah,
forward.
I think so.
I mean, the main key is just you need, I think, you do need to have a date so that you can get all the materials back and so that
Right.
that can be shared with everybody in each of the
Right.
towns so that there's thorough and consistent communication among all parties.
So I would suggest then that we have a vote on extending the response time until December 31st, 2024, and expanding the, what's it called?
Representatives, I think.
The town representatives from 2 to 3, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So moved.
Make a motion. Oh.
Look at that.
Oh, it's his voice. Moving in. All of a sudden, this big brother is there. Plus, your voice is so low. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Okay, moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Questions? Okay, all right. Mr. Mover, Tom, how do you vote?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
I vote yes. Maura?
Yes.
I
Chris?
vote yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. So we got it. We'll send them, I don't think we have to send them another official letter. You can just send them an email telling them of our vote.
Okay. Yeah, and the date. Give them the
Yeah.
Make sure we're all on the same
Right.
page. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, done. So there's no other update? I mean.
No, nothing. I
that's-
was on the email address today. There's been no other communication. So
There was an article in the Chronicle about the issue. Nauset towns seek to revise school pact. Just so you know, it was on there, and the date
yeah,
was
I've got a copy and I read it. Yeah.
Yeah,
October 10th. Just if anybody was interested.
saw it. Okay, to the next item. So following on to, on Greg's, presentation and is talking about people wanting to use the new facilities at the high school. This came up in our agenda meeting with Brooke. So Maura and I talked to Brooke about this, and this is you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, so this is another one just to add to your plate and for consideration. The superintendent's office is getting a lot of requests for use of the new building, probably understandably. And it is a space that I think we've all talked about wanting to share with the community. However, as we were talking about it, I think the whole building use, I have the prior building use form here, needs a look-see for a variety of reasons, right? It's probably a little bit outdated. We were just talking about all the different technology that's in that auditorium, which I think will probably be one of the spaces that's really requested. So I think costs have to be considered. We even briefly talked about there may be a person needed to manage it part-time, things like this. So there's a lot of pieces to it. And we wanted to really, we said, hey, let's slow this down and we're going to let people, we don't want people to be hanging out there and not knowing what's going on, but letting them know that we're going to take a look at it and then get back to them when we feel like we have a good plan in place. So in that vein, because we don't have enough subcommittees yet, we're thinking it would be best if a few people could sit at an ad hoc building use subcommittee to really look at that, cash flow it out, create a new form, some policies, that kind of thing. We'll get together what's currently there, create a little charge for it, and then have a group that can really sit down and dig in on that and hopefully have something in place.
And also include in that the middle school.
Right.
Right.
Get everybody
everything.
into it.
So
So
use and fields, all of.
And the fields,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And you know, how the fees are made, where they go, how it's all done. So it's, Brooke did also say when we were talking about that, apparently I think it was Plymouth, she said, when they built a new school and they were inundated. And apparently this is what is happening at the high school. The staff there is getting inundated with requests and can't handle it and don't know what to say, right? But apparently in Plymouth, they just kind of put a moratorium on building use for a while until I guess they made sure they knew how to turn on the lights.
Yeah.
I mean, that's important.
South?
Yeah.
Is that or the new high school?
It's one of the tech schools.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So we're thinking
Both tech and regular.
that at the next meeting we'll have this on the. So give some thought to if you'd like to be on an ad hoc committee like that, and at the next meeting we'll come back and see who's interested and get that committee.
We'll get a charge.
We'll get a charge written up and then we'll get it going. Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how would we stand legally if we own, would we have to wait till we had a permanent occupancy?
Oh,
Those are all,
Yeah.
So
Those types of things too.
So it's not something that's going to happen immediately.
Right.
Remember, the whole building isn't done. I mean, you're gonna have all sorts of liability issues. The whole building's not done until actually January is when or December of next year. So
and those questions can all be answered, like who can be on campus, when it's not data. All those, this committee can dig in on all that. So so give that some thought. We'll have it on the agenda at the next meeting, and then whoever's interested, we'll get going on it.
Okay.
And that'll take some pressure off the central office. Say we're working on it.
Is there anything we need to have in place just so the principals know how to respond now?
Oh,
or they're just putting everybody off?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So that goes for the middle school as well?
Well, what we thought about if we're doing a building use policy, let's not just look at the high school. I mean, we've got a middle school with great facilities.
With the moratorium?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, that does have a permanent occupancy.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. I just,
For now.
For now.
Even when there's bees in the auditorium.
Or when the snow comes on the slate roof and comes sliding off. Anyway, All right, so that's that. Rick, mask resolutions.
Okay, so the expiring resolutions. My preference in reading these is to start with the therefore.
Yes.
Not the whereas.
and then go back up and find and see the reasons. So if we look at the first one, which is
Banning polystyrene?
Banning polystyrene cups, bowls, and plates and trays from Massachusetts Public Schools. My big question, and I don't know the answer to this, is isn't that already in place? But if not, it should be. So my feeling is continue it. But I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Yes, no polystyrene.
Okay.
It's
Is it a state law yet?
Well, they've like the school breakfast, they've replaced it with a plastic bag. So it's great to get rid of it, but I lost my little painting palettes that I would give the kids with polystyrene, and now I would figure out what to do with like 200 plastic bags a day. But it's, less plastic. More plastic.
Do we need a vote?
We'll just look at.
They have the market.
So we don't need a vote. Is anybody? This is just sense of the committee that Rick is taking there. Is anybody against this? Continuing this? Okay.
Actually, if we look at the minutes we just passed, how we stood on each one was in there. So we
Yes.
clear.
Yes, but it was a sense last time, so yes, we unanimously support that.
Okay. So the next one is educator diversity and professional licensure. This is really interesting. I would like to hear. So there's a part A and a part B. I would like to hear what people's thoughts are on this. I have a thought that I will share, but I would like to hear your opinions first.
I leave it to the educators to respond to this.
Well, the MTELs, if you don't mind, the MTELs are very rigorous tests that need to be passed in order to achieve a number of different levels of certifications with the DESE. They are only held in one location in certain areas. You do need transportation to get there. You need to study ahead of time. You need to be aware. They are holding educators at a high level. So, just as MCAS, the discussion about that, do we need that level of assurity that the educators that are going out for positions do have the skills, at least pass the MTELs, the skills. I think so that's sort of what they are and where they are. I understand all the whereases in terms of valid measures and diversity and where all of that comes in. Similar discussions about MCAS. However, I'm not sure I agree with when educators are hired that people hiring them are very clear on the skills that teachers have. I think when a teacher has a certification that comes with a certain kind of assumptions. So I wonder about that. Although, when you're thinking about hiring somebody whether it's in the arts or, with a specialty to teach pottery or those kinds of things, do those teachers need to pass an MTEL? So, you're wondering if you're getting somebody to transfer from a professional position to teach, whether it's accounting or anything else within the schools, do they certainly need that level of certificate, the MTELs to pass those kinds of tests. So that's, I think, the pros and the cons.
Anybody else have any?
Well, I do think that educators should have to pass the MTELs because it's basically, it's a professional license. And so there has to be some kind of standard. I do have an issue with it just being offered in English. If you're like not a native English speaker and say wanted to teach a world language or wanted to teach ESL or whatever you want to teach, I believe that you should be able to take the MTEL in your native language because it's
That makes good sense.
See what your content knowledge is.
But that's not part of this resolution, correct?
No, it's not.
So it was not under.
No, that's just my 2 cents.
My concern is that I have a friend who was a teacher on the Cape, was a beloved teacher, was had good reviews, was very effective as a teacher and a coach, was hired provisionally, was not able to pass the MTEL, and was fired. That person, incidentally, is a member of a school committee in a different district right now. So, but and this is a person of color, and it was so. This person has the degree, has the certification, does the job very well. But that particular hurdle of that test, he was not, wasn't able to get over. So, I do have kind of a concern about just like one little measure saying, okay, this is it, do this or else.
I'm sorry, I'm not disagreeing. I'm sorry, I didn't see anything racial in this either. So I appreciate that you bringing that into it, but I don't think that's part of what this resolution says. The second part is, I don't know of any industry that you're in that you don't have a standard, and that standard's based on something. So be it a test or be it whatever. I mean, to get to be an architect, whatever you've got, I mean, it's all has it. So if there is a racial component to the test, that could be I mean, that may be an issue or not an issue, but that's not what we're addressing here. It is that should teachers be able to pass this test in order to teach in the state? And I don't, we have the highest, supposedly one of the best education systems in the country. And I think the reason for that is because we have high standards. And I don't know that it makes sense to, be changing those requirements. And I'm sorry, I'm not a teacher, but it's just looking at this and my thoughts. That's, and Josh, I know you usually have opinions on most things. What are your thought process?
Opinions in me?
You never.
No, like with as much respect and love to people who may not have passed, I have no problem. Teachers should pass the MTEL. It having taken 4 of them, I don't see it and didn't experience it as a prohibitively high bar to earn your way into a classroom. And I think that I think it's also connected to raising this kind of the image and status of teaching as a profession. And I think that the only way we kind of lift that up too is to show that this isn't something that you do when you're not good enough to do something else. And it's I don't know, kind of like the MCAS. I have no trouble with the MTEL. I think it's a fair. Is every test fair to every person? No, there are, and I might be wrong on this, but there are competency reviews. Like there are, I believe there's alternatives, just like there are alternatives to the MCAS that you can go and basically appeal to the state and say, these are my credentials, this is my experience, I am competent to teach this, and kind of show that you're highly qualified without passing the MTEL. But it's, as far as the basics, the like language and literacy one, the grammar, I really hope all my kids' teachers are passing it. Yeah.
I just have a question on the MTEL. So is the financial burden on the teacher? Is it on, okay, so
Teacher.
it's on the teacher.
Fantastic.
But and how much, does anyone know about how much it is?
A long time ago.
Probably inflation has occurred since then.
$100? Is that
About 150,
Yeah, it was pricey.
Okay.
130, and then you can take MTEL prep. But the other thing is, that doesn't mean to say that the MTELs couldn't be changed.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't think we should get rid of them. I want, if I go to a lawyer,
You want them to pass the bar?
I want them to pass the bar. When
your
I go
doctor.
to the hospital,
Yeah.
I want that nurse to have passed her boards, and I want that doctor to, I'm sure it's part of being a professional, I feel.
Passing the bar isn't going to make you a good lawyer. Passing the MTEL isn't going to make you a good teacher. But it
Correct.
certainly is a standard to start with.
Right.
That you start with at a certain level. So.
And it's basically like, do you know the pedagogy? Do you know your content area?
Okay, so is there consensus then that we will support this?
I don't think so.
No
We're
consensus?
not supporting it.
The
yeah.
consensus is that we will not support it.
Oh, not supported. Not supported. Yes, not supported. I'm sorry. Okay, not supported. We're going to be, and by the way, 54 to 24. There were a lot of districts not represented there on that vote.
Can I ask and maybe no one knows this, but I'm assuming these expired ones are coming basically for a vote of like continuing to work and lobby on those causes?
Yeah.
If
I also find it hard to believe that these are the only, I mean, when you look going back all those years and read some of them from past years, I assume there's a bunch of others
I
that
think
never.
I think it just, it is,
Okay, are there some that
I
are
think
deemed
it's- I
successful
think
at some
it's-
point?
I think it's only the ones that were passed after this,
Yeah,
Hmm.
the
this,
resolution. of
after the
they're all
resolution was
2000
passed,
they're all
that they were going to
2019, aren't they?
expire. So anything
Recent-
before that
recent, yeah.
doesn't have an expiration date on it.
Gotcha.
Oh, no, I just mean, I think there are a ton of resolutions that have been passed,
Still
but
out
were not acted on. And why we only have these in front of
Because
us.
these are 2019, and that's when the decision was made to have them expire. I believe that's probably it. Okay. All right, full funding of transportation costs. I'm sorry, Rick. I'm
That's
taking
okay.
over. I'm just trying to move
That's
along
fine.
here.
Yeah, and my question on this was, okay, so it's not?
No.
Is that correct? Okay, so.
They don't pay,
All right,
districts pay.
all right, so, this is, for students in foster care and state care. All right,
This is,
So this is when there might be a student from our district.
yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
I was going to ask Giovanna a question
Okay.
because she's left. Yeah, all right.
So
all right.
we're in favor of continuing this?
Yes, the state should fund it. Yes. Yeah.
It's complicated the way it is right now.
Okay. Next,
So poverty in children,
it's a bad idea.
what? It's
Poverty in children.
Poverty in children.
Yeah. I think we need to get the poverty out of
Fix that in this
children.
resolution? Son of a gun.
It's such a broad,
All this time.
these resolutions, I'm like, where are they going to go?
So,
Yes, readopt it.
yeah, it was readopted in 2019. So advocacy for mission programs, so on and so forth.
Yep.
So we want to
Yeah,
continue that.
yes, yes.
I would say yes, of course. I mean, this is all amazing work, but I also would say, but how? I feel like this is going to come up again in 3 years, and we're
Sure
going
is.
to
Right.
vote. You know what I mean? It's just so big and broad. I don't know if they
I'd
include
like
it
to know
just to
how
make a
many of
statement
the mask
or.
resolutions actually get
Back to
resolved.
Right.
Yeah.
We should ask.
Yeah.
You should go and ask.
Thanks, Laura. You're here with the good ideas tonight, I see.
But don't even if the whole thing doesn't get passed, the fact that the body has passed it and that information is out there, it can impact policies that people, it may make a policy that was going to be horrendous, less horrendous. I mean, so it has impact.
Yeah. It shines a light on the issue.
I mean, do we remember ketchup as a vegetable? I mean, you serve it with ketchup, it's a vegetable. You've got that taken care of.
That's another thing.
Those
It
things
isn't?
that
I didn't realize that.
Okay, so.
In my era.
it's the only one on the plate.
That would have been helpful.
Yeah, access to menstrual supplies. Once again,
Yes.
is that not already the case?
It's not already the case.
I think it's a school by school thing, right?
Yeah, it certainly is in Minnesota.
Oh, those progressive people out there.
That was progressive. How do they have Johnson though? What the heck? But Senator Johnson, he's not progressive.
Okay, charter school reform. I thought this was really, really interesting. And it seems to me that this is something that I would be in favor of.
Which, I'm sorry?
The charter school reform, state funding in full of any funds. In other words, rather than having a district pay for charter school tuition, the state pays for it.
It's never going to happen.
And also doing some accurate data on enrollment of students. And the other thing is too is that our END is limited to 5% and theirs is 20%.
Right. No, they could keep.
50%. Was it?
Really?
That's huge.
Charter schools can retain up to 20% of their operating budget capital costs.
And capital costs.
And we can only retain 5%, regional schools.
That's the clause.
Right, but.
Fine.
Well, they have a lot different, they're not getting their building things funded by the towns. So that they have to provide their own building costs. So their capital costs are.
Oh, there's a lot of differences.
Capital costs,
But
yeah.
how was the new building paid for? How was the movie theater paid for?
It's paid for by the school. I mean, we have a.
So you have a
mortgage.
note. You have a note, and you're paying.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So it's part of what you get then.
Bought and built for $4 million. Yeah.
And does that get rolled into the tuition that's requested from the school?
We don't request tuition, so it's we get our one of
From the
one of the
GSA.
biggest challenges that our budget is determined entirely by lottery enrollment. So if we get a kid from Provincetown, they bring X dollars with them. If we get a kid from Sandwich, they bring their per pupil.
Okay.
So based on ping pong balls, our budget could change hundreds of thousands of dollars year to year. We have zero capacity to go to town meetings and ask for money. We have zero access to MSBA funding. We are not living fat in any way whatsoever.
Come on, I saw your school. They were working on it. The plumbing, weren't they?
We just put a new roof in that we had to pay for.
That's an extra, isn't it?
And
That's
we'll
a
be
luxury.
paying for the next 20 years. But
I don't think I realized it was that tough.
it's charter school funding is misunderstood, and it's down here. I think it is far. A lot of the energy is the urban schools experience. A bit more drain of students out of public schools, but the sending schools get reimbursed pretty nicely under the current. I mean, you get first year, I believe it's 100%, second year 75%, third year 50%. Like it's not. I don't know. It would be tough to make a case as Nauset that.
So what are they asking us to do here?
It's a variety of things again, a broad.
But I also, you may vote all however you wish.
Josh, I have a question for you. So one of the things on here is the establishment of strict guidelines or regulations to require that charter schools enroll representative cross sections of the population, but it's a lottery, right? So how could that happen? Like in your
So the way we've addressed that is by conducting all of our open houses and tours in multiple languages, by going out and giving presentations at districts that have higher populations of more diverse students. I've had 3 parent conferences in the last 2 days that were done entirely in Portuguese. We've been actively working on that. Our percentages of special ed students are there's a myth out there that we somehow handpick kids. 25 years ago, we got the most invested parents in the Nauset region who wanted the very best for the kids, and that was a group of risk-taking parents who had some pretty high-flying students at the time. And at that time, Nauset Middle School was not a great place to be. We served our function. We forced the surrounding districts to get better, and Nauset Middle School is a lot better. And but yes, to answer your question, we have zero control. We could pull 84 boys. And we'd have a really interesting year, or we could pull 84 kids from Sandwich and have like $1 million less than if we had 84 kids from Nauset. So it's there's not to say that it doesn't happen, but our lottery is blind, totally blind. All they need to do is submit a name. And
is that the case with all charter schools?
All charter schools, yeah.
Is there what's called sibling no exception to that?
Yes, the only if your student is currently enrolled, when a sibling applies, then they get in.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be right. You don't do the.
Yeah. I mean, my kids didn't get in, so it's there's no control over stuff. Yeah.
The one caveat to that is when students are identified as having been enrolled in the charter school, and if they are identified as having a need beyond what the charter school can offer and need an out-of-district placement, that student goes back to the district for the district to be responsible for that placement. So
Yeah,
that,
just as if they were a Nauset,
right,
same cost for the kid.
they would be the Nauset schools would then take that student back in order to have that student in an out of district placement. They don't have any
Administer the out of district placement.
Yeah, they're no longer a student in the charter school. So that's
Okay, so I have no idea how to vote on this because there's so many bullets under the therefore be resolved. I think it's, I don't know whether it's good or bad to say yes or no.
And having Josh's insight,
Yeah,
I think
Yes, as a
I would
matter of
be
fact, changed
concerned
my
about
mind.
saying yes, yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
So should we say no?
You can also not vote.
It's always an
You can also not
issue
vote, yeah.
in Brewster.
Mhm.
Yes, it is.
Well,
It's an issue in Brewster because
Of school choices.
well, school
This isn't
choice is
school
different than
choice,
school
this is
choice.
charter.
But, money going out.
Or students leaving the district.
well, it's
Students
going.
leaving.
I'm sure that there are Brewster students that go out,
Exactly,
so-
but it's always seems
There are
to
a good
be
number.
Yes.
an issue.
Yes. So we should vote now.
So
I don't understand.
regardless of
I think we could
what
not
gets
vote.
voted on this, there is always going to be demand. There's always going to be a conversation on Capitol Hill about
Mhm.
changing the funding format from both sides. That
Right.
the
Right.
I think it needs to change for school choice.
Well, I mean, so I'm sorry, if I remember, in the last Republican administration, there was the push to broaden the charter school mandate, and there was big pushback from
Right.
the education system to prevent that from happening. So, again, I'm not trying to, and I don't know where that runs, but I know that, as you said, Josh, it was a bigger thing in urban areas because they were losing students left and right because the quality of education was so bad, and the charter schools could come in and up their game. I'm sorry, we just give the children better education. So I don't know where that balance is. We don't experience that down here, I don't think. And I think the charter schools serve an excellent purpose, in that, kids that aren't necessarily going to be successful at
choices
the middle school.
Choices.
It's so good. It's so important.
Can we just pass on this? Can we not vote on?
Sure. Yeah, I don't
I
have a great
I just
many.
do
I feel I have to address what you said about urban schools. In New Bedford, there was a huge backlash against charter schools because what they wanted to do was to give an old elementary school building to a charter school, and that's
a different issue.
it was a
Yeah,
different issue.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, there's static. There's bureaucracies in education, and you're going to have challenges all the time as a result. There's just
I think that this is a resolution that's going to be out there forever.
Yeah,
Without-
I think that
whether
honestly,
there's
anything
an-
that perpetuates the us versus them, we're all
good thing.
trying to educate
Right.
the public's
Right.
children.
Right.
Charter schools in Massachusetts are public schools, publicly funded, teaching your same kids from your same towns,
Right.
and division is we're trying to find less of that in our world, and I'd rather
Are we?
battle.
God.
I'd rather battle.
Contract, please.
Yes, okay, so again,
And climate
can we
change.
just not, can I propose we
Yes, I second that.
pass on this
Pass
one?
on that. I think it's a great idea.
Pass. All right, next, climate change.
Climate change.
I'm against it.
Against climate change.
I don't want it to change.
Resolution.
I don't want it to change.
Okay, so I would imagine we're going
Yes.
to have them continue on this, right?
It's just one of those ones, like,
If
what
the
are they doing to
climate, please,
protect
yeah.
current and future students? Like, are we building schools on stilts? Like, it's great, but
Okay, mandatory recess.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
I'd even
And
bring
not
it
to
up
use
out of
recess time
elementary.
as discipline.
All right, we've only got a couple left.
Anti-racism.
School anti-racism.
Yes,
Committee
yes.
is-
Yeah.
That's gotta be a yes.
prohibiting the use of Native American mascots.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So isn't our, we don't have a mascot.
We don't have a
Our name of
mascot.
our team is
Nauset does.
Warriors. Did we already talk about
It's not a
Yeah,
mascot.
we got rid of our.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they made that.
We
They
used
had
to
that
have one.
a while ago. They made that decision.
That was a
That was
decision made in 2000 and, what did we find out? 8, 9, I think.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
There was when the logo, the mascot went away. And then last,
Yes, that'd be great.
got it, okay, done. Okay, all right. Good luck, my man.
Get back to us
on
and
this
tell us how many of them
area.
get put in enacted. How many of them get enacted?
Okay, so I don't think we have any surplus. Any subcommittees want to report? Any other
I can.
reports?
I'll just start some news that the Board of the Cape Cod Collaborative, we've had Paul Hilton retired. He's now the interim director. But we hired, we had 3 finalist candidates, all female.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is great.
And we went with Dr. Hope Hanscom from, she's the deputy superintendent at
She does my job.
Mashpee.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
What's that?
she does my
Yeah.
job in different.
But
yeah.
she's also has, her background is in special education.
Good.
And then she also has been a director of either 1 or 2 other collaboratives. So, and she seems like a very enthusiastic and
Good.
I think she's going to do a great job. So we're really excited.
Oh,
Will they move it down here so we can take a little more advantage?
They have moved
I
facilities
was going to say
to Yarmouth.
in Dennis.
Waypoint schools.
It's in Yarmouth or Dennis, one or the other.
I don't remember. It's one of the old schools.
They're no longer in Sandwich. The Osterville place
Oh,
is still
they're in
there.
Osterville too.
Yeah, that place is so difficult.
Yes.
Bump
Not
road.
easy to get through.
Not on a dark.
Bump River Road.
But that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So when's she gonna start?
I don't know. I think we have to do like contract negotiation and
All those details.
Yeah, all those,
Yeah.
the little
Wants money?
nitty-gritty. Yeah, so I think it's going to be good. She has
Good.
She just has a great perspective, and I
Is she moving to the Cape? Is she moving to the Cape?
She's from
well,
Mashpee.
she's
Oh, she's
the
Mashpee.
deputy superintendent in Mashpee.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that part. Great.
So I mean, that's another thing. That was another,
Yeah.
someone who actually
Yeah.
who knows
She's had kids there.
the area. She knows special education. She has experience running a collaborative. I just think like
A lot of boxes
Alright.
checked. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, that's
She
great.
won Assistant Superintendent of the Year last year.
Oh, wow.
Like we all vote
Yeah.
and we voted for her.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, she's got great energy.
Yeah, very positive.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think she knows a little bit about transportation.
Oh, God, I hope so. Leading into that, I will. So the Transportation Subcommittee has begun meeting again, and to my right is the chair of the Transportation Subcommittee, who couldn't come because
I'd senior night for soccer
apparently
yesterday. But
his daughter had a senior experience at the school that he felt was more important than his thing to Paul Hilton.
she thought it was more important.
We all
It
agreed.
is
We all
more
agreed.
It's a great night. It was good stuff.
Everybody will get more of an update on this on the transportation at the joint meeting. But these discussions have started. Paul came in and did make a presentation just very quickly because we've reported on this before. June 30th, we own the buses. So those leases, which run about $400,000 a year, are no longer on our books for next year. However, don't go and spend that money because we've got to plan for replacement because we don't want to go and spend it on something else and then have to, come up again. One of the things that will happen, can't remember, they were going to reach out. They're coming to our next subcommittee meeting, are the people that sold us these buses, as you recall, Bluebird and Roush. They're the ones that make the propane buses. Apparently the propane buses have not held up and performed as we
were sold.
And so there's going to be a discussion on that because we have to go. So what do we do now? Electric and pay $400,000 a bus? Do you go back to diesel? Do you stick with propane with all the problems? Or do you go to gas? So all of these questions are going to be out there. So stay tuned for that. You're going to hear more of that. But Paul did come, and he, I have to say, has a lot of knowledge. One of the things that they did say is we purchased smaller buses because there was the perception that the buses were going around taking and weren't all the way full.
So it's difficult for resale?
It's less for resale. It's also they are less. They're less flexible. You can't swap them right when one breaks down. You can't. And a 71 passenger bus doesn't take 71 people.
No, it's 52 or something.
Because there are 3 seats across, and they're for 13-inch backsides, and high school students are usually a little bit, and they come with all their gear and everything else. So, and they're the same cost to run. You still have a bus driver. You still have fuel. So it's not that much different. Anyway, there will be more forthcoming on that. So that's transportation. Anything else?
Communication subcommittee was supposed to meet this morning, but Brooke was
Somebody didn't communicate. No, that's sorry.
communicated pretty well.
You're strong.
But Brooke is going to have a major part of that discussion about communication plans and surveys and things like that. So we have rescheduled, hopefully, if she's back, for next Thursday morning. But we'll know more about that date on Monday when we have her scheduled.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I have something. Yeah, so the local chapter, Cape Cod chapter of the NAACP, which I am a member on the executive board, is launching a Cape-wide high school art contest for which there will be cash prizes. So anyway, this is our poster, and so essentially they were, we were talking about something in preparation for Martin Luther King Day in January, and they were looking at like Barnstable High School to do art projects, and I said no. It's got to be Cape-wide. This is the Cape Cod branch, not the Barnstable branch. So anyway, so that's we put together a subcommittee, and we came up with this program. And I would just like to make sure that, and we sent yesterday I think, all of the school principals, all the high school principals, and whatever art teachers we could find out about, got this document. Do you have?
I'm happy to make sure everybody is aware of it. Yeah.
Okay, could you
Yeah,
pass
happy
this
to.
out?
Yep.
I would appreciate that.
It sounds great.
So,
Yeah.
And you sent that out to the whole Cape.
yes.
Nice.
Great.
And the islands.
The islands have their own branch.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Well, wait. Yeah. Well, Martha's Vineyard does. I'm not sure about Nantucket, but yeah.
Will there be a showing of all of the?
Yes, and we haven't decided exactly. We haven't determined exactly what the venue is going to be for that. One of the things we're looking at is 529 Main Street in Hyannis, which is the kind of the Sturgis public building. That's a possibility, and there's also several churches where it could be displayed. And I don't know. We're still working on that. So the artworks will be. How would you like to be one of the judges?
Oh, sure.
Would you really? Yeah. Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Is this legal to do in this meeting?
Well, I don't see we're still being recorded.
Well, I could be, but you
Yes,
might.
yeah, no, I think that's great. Yeah,
Okay,
all right.
I appreciate having the opportunity to share that.
And he just got this great idea, all right. Also, the Superintendent Search Committee met Tuesday. I believe for the first time, and that's on the agenda for Tuesday's meeting at the Joint Committee, and there will be a recommendation. The first job is to hire a search firm, and so there will be a recommendation for that. And once that is done, hopefully we will hit the ground running. There is a draft timeline, very drafty. The firm will hopefully come in and help us plug some holes in this. But looking to hire somebody before February break. That would be the goal. So, but you'll get more details on that on Tuesday with everybody else. Policy. Are those policies going to be ready to review in November? Do I put these on the next agenda?
Everything? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. So,
I would say no.
no. Okay. So that would be a no. Okay.
When is Jim
One
Hardy
less thing.
retirement?
No. Oh, he's
I
gone.
think he's gone.
Is he gone? Yeah.
They've named his.
We're racing the auditorium.
They've
We
named
actually want to vote the
his
policies
successor.
in the auditorium because there's a lot of light show involved in the final rollout of the new policies. So we're gonna get that auditorium finished up.
That
This is going to be a separate show?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. All right. Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a second. Tom, how do you vote? Yes. Heather?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, feel better, Tom.
I will.
Taking those
Thank you very
minutes.
much. Luxury problem.
Yeah.
You're like a radio voice.
He does.
I know.
It's like, whoa.
Perfect. You could sell that
You could
voice.
get a job.
Deep
Yeah.
Nauset News.
style.
There's Nauset News. There we go.
In the podcast.
Yeah, the- yeah, pretty, yeah.